You have wasted the year you were given. You neglected your duties and ignored the chance to learn. Now you must face the consequences." But before Zola could respond, Kumo began to beat her with the cane. Each strike stung as she cried out in pain and regret. I'm sorry, she pleaded. But Kumo continued, teaching her a lesson she would never forget. Once upon a time, in a small village called Kulani, lived a young woman named Zola. Zola had grown up as the cherished only child of a doting mother who had indulged her every whim. From an early age, Zola had been pampered and coddled, never required to lift a finger around the house. As a result, she became quite lazy, content to spend her days lounging about and gossiping with friends. As Zola grew older, her mother began to worry about her future. While Zola was kind-hearted and beautiful, she lacked the skills and work ethic that would make her a good wife. Her mother knew that someday Zola would marry, and she feared that her daughter's laziness would cause her trouble. One sunny afternoon, Zola met a young, charming man named Kofi at Kulani Market. Kofi was hardworking, gentle, and captivated by Zola's grace and beauty. It wasn't long before they fell in love and decided to marry. Though her mother was happy for her, she was also anxious about how Zola would manage her new household responsibilities. On the day of the wedding, Zola's mother presented her with a beautifully woven basket. "My dear Zola," she said, "this is a special gift to help you with your chores. It will ease your burdens, but remember, there is one rule. You can only use it for 1 year. During this time, you must learn how to take care of your home." Zola opened the basket to reveal a delicate, intricately carved gourd. As she lifted the lid, a small, shimmering creature, a fairy, emerged. This household fairy was capable of performing any domestic task with incredible speed and efficiency. You are to study this fairy as it does the house chores. Learn how it cooks, washes, and manages the home. What I failed to teach you, I am hoping this fairy will teach you. Do not be lazy. You have only 1 year, after which I will come back to collect it," said Zola's mother. Zola was overjoyed. She named the fairy Kumo and quickly set it to work. Kumo swept the floors, washed the dishes, and did the laundry with such skill that Zola barely had to lift a finger. Life was a dream and she was content. But instead of learning from Kumo as her mother instructed, she spent her days sleeping, gossiping, and visiting her friends. A year passed in the blink of an eye. On the last day, as the sun set, Kumo returned to the god, its magic completed. Zola now had to manage the household on her own. She quickly realized that she had learned nothing. The house fell into disarray and her attempts at cooking were disastrous. To hide her failures, she began to buy food from the market for Kofi, her husband. One day, overwhelmed by the mess and desperate for a quick solution, Zola tried to use Kumo again. She opened the gourd and called out to the fairy. Kumo appeared and dutifully began to arrange the home. However, every time Kumo finished, the house magically returned to its disarrayed state. Even worse than before, objects that had been neatly placed flew off the shelves. Dust settled faster than Kumo could clean, and chaos reigned. Zola realized that Kumo's magic was no longer effective and she had to take responsibility for her own home. The fairy's magic, now corrupted by Zola's neglect, only made things worse. She put the gourd away, understanding that she could no longer rely on it. Struggling but determined, Zola began to clean and arrange the house by herself. Without the fairy's help, the house was not as tidy as before. She lacked Kumo's precision and speed, and every task took her twice as long. She tried her best, but the house remained in a state of semi-disarray. When Kofi returned home that evening, he noticed the mess. "Zola, why is the house so disorganized?" he asked, concern evident in his voice. Zola, feeling the weight of her failures and desperate to cover them, quickly replied, "I am not feeling too well today, Kofi. I tried my best, but I just couldn't keep up." Kofi looked at her with a mix of sympathy and worry. "You should have told me you weren't feeling unwell. We can tackle the chores together." One evening, Kofi came home early before Zola had a chance to buy food for him from the market. Panicking, she called out to Kumo, forgetting that the fairy's magic had expired. Miraculously, Kumo emerged and prepared a delicious meal, just as it had done before. Kofi praised Zola for the meal, completely unaware of her deception. That night, Zola had a vivid dream. She found herself in a dark forest surrounded by glowing eyes. Kumo appeared before her, but instead of its usual friendly demeanor, it held a long cane. "Zola," it said sternly, "you have wasted the year you were given. You neglected your duties and ignored the chance to learn. Now you must face the consequences." But before Zola could respond, Kumo began to beat her with the cane. Each strike stung, and she cried out in pain and regret. I'm sorry, she pleaded. But Kumo continued, teaching her a lesson she would never forget. When Zola awoke, her body ached as if the dream had been real. She looked around at her disordered home and realized the severity of her situation. With renewed determination, she set to work, slowly cleaning the house and attempting to cook. That night, Zola sat alone, pondering her situation. She decided to take a bold step. She opened the gourd and called out to Kumo one last time. "Kumo," she said, her voice trembling, "ever since you stopped working for me, my house has fallen into disarray and dirt. I have resorted to buying food for my husband, but if he finds out, he will be furious. He is already growing suspicious. I understand you can't help me with cleaning and cooking or other chores directly, but there is no rule against guiding me. So from now on, even if you can't do the work, please teach me how to do it properly." Kumo looked at her thoughtfully and nodded. "Very well, Zola. I will guide you, but you must be the one to do the work." The next morning, Zola woke up early, determined to make things right. With Kumo's guidance, she started cleaning the house. Kumo's instructions were clear and precise, and although Zola struggled, she found herself improving with each task. She learned how to sweep properly, wash dishes, and prepare meals. Kofi noticed the gradual improvement and was pleased. The house began to look more orderly and the meals tasted better. Zola felt a growing sense of accomplishment and pride in her work. Over time, Zola's skills improved significantly. She no longer relied on bought food and could prepare delicious meals for Kofi. The house became a warm, welcoming home, reflecting the effort she put into it. Kofi's suspicions faded, replaced by admiration for Zola's hard work and dedication. One day, Zola's mother came to visit. She had come to collect the fairy, knowing that the year had long passed. Zola led her mother to the room and handed her the gourd. But before her mother could leave, Zola called out to Kumo one last time. "Kumo," she said softly, "thank you for guiding me and teaching me how to manage my home." The fairy emerged from the gourd, shimmering and wise. "Zola," it said, "remember what you have learned. Do not be lazy. Pay attention to details and do the right thing at the right time. Carry out your responsibilities diligently, but also know when to ask for help when you need it. These lessons will serve you well in all aspects of life." Zola nodded, tears of gratitude in her eyes. She watched as her mother took the gourd and left, feeling a sense of pride and responsibility she had never known before. Kumo, now safely kept with Zola's mother, remained a silent guardian and a reminder of the invaluable lessons Zola learned. The value of hard work, the pitfalls of shortcuts, and the importance of balancing self-reliance with seeking help when needed and not transferring your responsibilities to another person. My listeners, what I have learned from this story is that a lazy person may enjoy for a little while, but a life of hardship and suffering awaits in future. What about you? Please share what you have learned from this story in the comment section. I would love to read from you. Until next time, stay kind and be blessed.